Welcome to Think Tank with Scott and Will.
I'm Scott.
And I'm Will. And today we're going to be talking about social dynamics, Thomas Hobbes with social contracting, and insanity. Yeah.
Always a good topic.
Yeah, this is going to be a good one, I think. What do you think, Scott?
I think we've played enough Far Cry 3 to definitely talk about insanity. So.
Oh, yeah. Let's start with Thomas Hobbes. Am I saying it right?
Hobbes, yeah, I believe it's Hobbes.
Hobbes. I always say it wrong. I always used to call him Hobbes because of the E.
Well, the way I always sort of think of it is I've only ever heard it as Hobbes, and if you ever play Fable, they're Hobbes. He's an English guy from England. Hobbes are English. Fable's English. Said the same way.
Yeah, maybe. Oh, well, anyway. Hobbes. Shit.
Hobbes. Thomas Hobbes.
Hobbes's main idea.
Hmm.
Hobbes's main idea was social contracting. Virtually, social contracting is like a view. It's a bit of a mind game.
Yeah.
It's more of a mental activity in which we think about the relationship between people.
Hmm.
You know, like I don't murder you in your sleep, Scott, so that you don't murder me in my sleep.
Well, that's the essence of the social contract. We've discussed it in a previous podcast, but just a quick summation.
Well, we talked about it briefly. I don't think we really went into it.
Okay. Well, the idea was by Hobbes, before there was the social contract, everyone was like a law unto himself in the jungle and could like kill everyone and fight. And there
Red
was
of tooth
red
and
and tooth
claw.
and claw. Yeah, that's a good way of putting it. That was his original one.
Yeah, I believe so.
And basically, it was there was no one to check and balance everyone, so it was.
So it's
People
like,
do what they
you
want and
pissed
take
me
what
off.
they want.
Yeah, so it's like, you pissed me off. So I beat you over the head with a rock and killed you.
But
And
the thing is with that is that you didn't even have the justification of having to piss me off.
oh yeah,
Well,
you just turn
go
around
and
one day.
you could just walk past their house and decide to just burn it down for no reason.
Yeah,
And there's nothing really to stop you except other people burning your house down.
yeah. So you make a deal. You're like, well, I won't burn your house down, and you won't burn my house down. And
Yeah.
if someone tries to burn your house down, I'll stop them. And if someone tries to burn my house down, you'll stop them.
Yeah.
But you don't really say it.
I mean, it's the essence of the social contract is basically two people sitting down and not even discussing because it's so ingrained in society, but they offer to not perform certain actions in exchange. You don't perform certain actions. Excellent. I won't go around and try to burn your place down. In return, you don't try to burn my place down.
I think the way Thomas Hobbes put it was, I will restrict my power in exchange for a restriction of your power.
Exactly.
Because remember, Friedrich Nietzsche, all men want to exert their strength.
That's it.
So I'll prevent myself from exerting my strength onto you if you stop yourself from exerting your strength onto me.
Well, I suppose there's even another facet of just the will to power anyway.
Yeah.
Because, okay, the one thing you have is you like to exert your strength. The one thing you don't want is to not exert your strength, to have that feeling.
Or to have someone's strength push you down.
Yeah, to avoid the feeling of being powerless, you contract with another.
Yeah.
You sort of share a power so you don't get it. I mean, here's a modern example, actually. Like 1800s, we didn't have firefighters. No professional firefighters.
Really?
Originally, firefighters started, I think it was America. And it was basically, okay, if you paid the fireys, you got to put a big plaque on the side of your house. And if your house was burning down, they'd come and put it out. There were multiple different groups of fireys. And eventually it was decided, well, if your house is burning down, let's make it a public service that it needs to be put out. It was originally not a thing. Originally it was, okay, your house is burning down, but you didn't pay the fireys, so your house burns down.
That's a really big social fucking contract, dude.
There you go. And we don't even think about it. I mean, you're social contracting with the ambulance, with the police, with the fireys. Okay, I'm not going to go around and rob convenience stores. In return, the police aren't going to blow me away.
Yeah, well, it's like, yeah, like I don't. You piss me off. I'm not going to murder you in your sleep because that's 25 foot to life.
That's it. Because I've contracted with another power, such as the police, that if I get harmed, there's a retribution.
Yeah. Now, you also socially contract with people, specific individuals.
Yeah.
You socially contract with people who can harm you. You socially contract with people who can harm you. So it's like, you don't harm me, and I won't harm you.
Well, I mean, that's the very fundamental nature that doesn't really often get discussed about social contracting. I mean, ultimately, you only contract with people that have the ability to affect you.
Mm.
So if someone's powerless or an innocent or a child or something and can't meaningfully affect you, then you have no desire. There's no need to contract with those people.
You can see this in action on the streets. You go into the city and at night you'll see like a homeless person and he'll ask for money. How many people turn around? The bum can't do anything. He has no power to like. He can maybe yell abuse at you, but what do you care? You're rich. You got money. You're up here. You got your finger on the trigger. You know.
I don't know. I think even on that level, you're still socially contracting with him.
Yeah, a little bit.
Because, I mean, he's got the power to harm you by making you feel guilty.
I suppose he's also got the power to run at you with a knife and stab you 43 times in the neck.
There's another one. He's got the power to harm you. You don't know if you can contract with this person. I mean, ultimately, people only contract with people that are contractable with.
But
if someone's a total maniac, you can't create a social contract with them.
Which we'll talk more about later.
Exactly.
But at the same time, you can offer him services in currency or food and shelter. What can he offer you?
That's exactly it.
Yeah.
But ultimately, the service he's providing for you is basically
not stabbing you in the neck.
You're feeling powerful by doing him a solid.
Exertion of power.
Yeah, that's it.
Because here's the thing. This is another part of social contracting. Scott, I would love to take you out to a beautiful seafood dinner tomorrow night. You don't have to pay for a single thing. I'm going to drive you there. I'm going to pay for everything. How do you feel about this? You feel shitty, don't you?
Yeah, that's the thing about it. Like, you're sort of entering their sphere and doing them a solid. Like, for example, like lending someone money or doing them a favor. You feel like you have to return the favor.
Yeah, you feel socially obligated because this person's one up to you, and like your response is, "Oh man, you bought me that seafood dinner. I'll get you lunch sometime real soon." And if I go, "No, you won't," you feel kind of
you're angry.
Yeah,
you're angry. I think Nietzsche covered this ages ago, and I've always found it very profound.
Yeah,
it's just another exertion of power. You've entered their sphere of influence and done them and shown your power by doing them a favor, and you feel obligated to pierce their sphere in return. It's almost like a vengeance kind of thing.
Yeah.
By doing them a solid, like you do a big favor for someone and just rebut their ability to do you a favor, and look how angry they get. Seriously.
Here is another good example. I knew this chick, name was Debbie, and she went away on a trip with her fiance.
Yeah.
And on the way back, her mum built her a granny flat because they've got a large property land. Her mum built her from scratch a granny flat while she was overseas with her fiance, and they came back and she was like, "Oh, you guys can just live out back, just whatever," because there's like 300, 400, 500 meters between the flat and the house or something.
Okay.
So so they virtually got a house built for them. Didn't have to pay for a thing. She was pissed.
Yeah.
She was and like the dude's a bit of a, like, they're not together anymore because he's a bit of a slacker or whatever, I don't know.
Yeah.
And he's like, "Oh yeah, cool, we got a free house." And she's like, "We got a free house. I gotta do something about this," because she's been handed something. Some like will to power has been exerted towards her, and she can't return that. How is she going to return that favor?
Yeah, you've just been sucker punched with a free gift.
You've been sucker punched with a free gift, and you're mad. You know, like when you win something, you go on to Who Wants to Be a Millionaire or whatever, and you answer like 10 questions that are really hard. You can't Google them or whatever. And you answer, you deserve it because you exerted your will in exchange for these services and currencies. But when something's handed to you on a silver platter, well, you can go one of two ways. You can be like, whatever, and take it. Or you can be like, take it, and like, I've got to find a way to exert my will now.
Yeah.
I'm not talking about little things like, "Hey, Scott, I'll drop you down to the mall or whatever so you can pick up something for your dying grandmother or whatever." It's more like, "Hey, Scott, I'm going to go out of my way to do something nice for you." And then social contracting between you and I've one-upped you.
No, that's a different thing. It's a different thing. I mean, the exertion of like power dynamics is different from social contracting, I think. I mean, they're definitely...
I don't know. I reckon they're kind of similar, to be honest.
They're on the same lines, but I mean, the difference between a social contract is, okay, I can do this to you you can do this to me. Let's contract and say we won't do these things and we'll do these things. It's difference between that. It's basically like a pact to not mess with each other, as opposed to doing things for them and influencing.
Then didn't Thomas Hobbes also talk about the whole one-upping? And then you have to even the social playing field.
I don't recall that with Hobbes, to be honest.
Oh, really?
Still have to read Leviathan by him.
I'm pretty sure it was in Leviathan. I was just thinking.
Riff on it right now. Right now.
Virtually, it was very, very similar to Friedrich Nietzsche. And the idea behind it was, Scott, I do something nice for you. I go out of my way, exert my will to power a little bit. I one-up you socially. And then my standing between the social, like, we have a social contract. You have a contract with me. I have a contract with you.
Yeah.
But my standing on that contract is a little bit higher because I've exerted will to power to raise me up. Okay. And you don't like that. So you want to do something nice to me to exert your will to even the
or to pull
field.
them down. Pulling them down
Nietzsche is
actually covered this one. There's a caste system in India, and the lowest one is the Chandalas. And he basically called it the Chandala mentality, where, not that I'd say that particular caste is that way inclined, but it was just an example.
Yeah.
Let's say, for example, okay, this guy has done it all. He's worked really hard. He's up the top. And people who aren't willing to exert that effort, to exert that energy to get there, hate him for it. It's, look at this guy, look at that big shot. He thinks he's better than me. He's done
because he's up there.
Yeah, and they try to pull him down to their level. They don't basically go, look at this guy. What a great example. I'm going to fight. I'm going to get up there. They go, look at this jerk. Instead of exerting their will, they exert their will to power to pull him down.
Yeah, because pulling somebody down is easier than raising yourself up.
Absolutely.
You see it, like, again, you can, if you read Leviathan by Thomas Hobbes, and you'll start seeing the social dynamics and social contracting working between people as you see them converse. You know, we talked a little bit about social contracting. I think for the most part we hit the nail on the head. You want to move on to the circle?
Yeah,
the circle is kind of an idea. I don't know. I just sort of started saying it, and Scott just straight away understood what I was talking about. So I think we just sort of made this one up ourselves.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I've heard it as spheres of influence, but I suppose the circle is much the same thing.
When I say
just a variation on the same thing.
Well, yeah, sphere of influence. But when I say the circle, I'm talking about, like, you social contract within the circle, because the circle is created to hold people within the social dynamic of that society.
So you're saying not the circle as in influences, the circle as in social norms, societal norms.
Yeah.
Basically, sort of your middle class white picket fence. This is what we should all be doing, kind of thing.
Yeah, subcontracting.
Yeah, basically, be nice to your neighbor. Don't mess with the cops.
So
pay your taxes.
That's it.
Don't rob banks, all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, and then if you do all of these things, or some of these things, or some of the above, this shit's going to happen to you.
Yeah, you're now an outcast.
You don't want that shit to happen. Yeah. And so this circle, but you see, here's the thing: this circle is created for. You used the word really, really well yesterday. It was created to contain norms.
Well, the people that benefit from this sort of situation is the people that appear to be in the circle that aren't, that take advantage of people who are just doing honest work.
Yeah, I like using the term insane.
Yeah,
almost. Because it's a very extreme version of what we're talking about.
Well, yeah, they're definitely insane by, like, sociopathic, psychopathic traits are often the kind of conniving, manipulative kind of behaviors that do benefit from this kind of situation. The idea of the social contract was, well, you can reap the benefits of the social contract as long as you appear to be upholding your end of the bargain, even though you aren't.
Yeah, it's called, I think Thomas called it playing the contracts.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like the contract's in place, and it's a two-way street. Like, you believe that I'm going to uphold my end of the contract, but I just make it look like I am.
That's it. I mean, and you get to reap the benefits of, let's say, for example, okay, I'll give you 50% of my food that I've farmed this year, and you'll give me 50% of your food that you farmed this year.
Yeah.
Excellent, buddy. No problem. Now, what you've done is you appear like you've been farming all this year, but really you've just been getting high and drinking all this whole time. And then it comes to the end of the year, and you get 50% of his food and just flip him off.
Or here's another good one, Scott. You do the farming as per normal, but every now and then you stock off 5% into your basement.
Yeah, there you go. There you go.
You've
taken 10% off the top and told no one.
Yeah.
And then you've sold that to one up him and then bought his farm.
And there you go. Now you got 2 farms or something. Because you're like, here's 50%. But you're really giving him like 25 because the other 25% is stashed away in your basement. He can't see it. He thinks he's got 50%.
That's it.
Then you're sitting on 120% instead of 100, you know?
Yeah,
you get that extra 25% because you appear to be upholding it.
I mean, that's the downfall for social contracts. I mean, as long as you are appearing to uphold this contract, you reap the benefits without having to put the work in.
Yeah.
I mean, and you can see examples of that everywhere. Corporate responsibility, politicians, all sorts of things. You know?
So I've just drawn a circle on a piece of pad, and I'm drawing dots in the middle of it. These dots are like all the people that this social dynamic contract appear because they state that it's kept them inside the circle. These people these farmers that Scott just described to us, I'm drawing dots outside the circle. They are outside the circle, but they make the illusion that they're upholding the contract. They're making the illusion that they're inside this social dynamic when they're just playing the game. Even further out from this circle, even further out from this outlying farmers are reavers. I like using that word because it sounds very profound.
Reaver is a good word.
Yeah.
It's a nice juicy word.
Yeah, but it's a really very good description of the person I'm going to describe. At the beginning of the video, Scott mentioned a franchise, Far Cry 3. Some of you may... The whole idea behind it is insanity, and there's this guy, his name's Voss, he's insane.
Yeah, he's totally psycho.
You can't socially contract with somebody like this. They don't want anything.
Yeah.
They have no goal. They would cut their nose off to fight despite their face, then laugh about it. These are people who are like drug influenced heavily. I'm not talking about weed smokers. I'm talking about guys who are like,
yeah, got no clue this is the kind of person that does crystal meth and then machetes his girlfriend.
Yeah, that's it. You know, they don't care. Oh, the cops are going to get you if you cut your girlfriend's fingers off and eat them. Well, good for them.
Yeah, I'm just going to kill the cops
because
I'm going to hide out in the bush for 20 years. Actually, there was an example of a guy that did hide out in the bush for 15 years. He wanted for 15 years. They caught him in Tamworth about a year ago. He didn't cut his finger off. He didn't shoot someone.
Well, it's pretty close too, you know. But I'm talking about people who are like, I want to kill my girlfriend. The cops are going to come. I'll sit here and wait for them. You know, like he doesn't even try to run. He's calm about it. He comes in. Oh yeah, you can book me or whatever. Maybe he'll shoot them. You don't know what a guy is going to, because like when you know what a guy wants, you can predict how they'll act.
That's it, and you can contract with people where they are wary or worried about suffering a disadvantage.
It's like, come on, Scott, do it. You won't do it because you know those cops will put you away for 25 years. But let's just say Scott was totally goddamn off the like we're talking. He's a reaver. You know, let's just say Scott's a reaver. Come on, Scott, do it. You're scared that the cops are going to get you. No, you're not. You don't give a shit about the cops. The cops are just, they're no threat to you in any shape, way, shape,
the cops are just an obstacle in your way. Yeah. You can't contract. You're red in tooth and claw. Here's a good example, okay? Everyone carries around guns. You and I go to a bar, some sort of Western saloon.
I've heard of this society, actually. Apparently everyone carries swords or something.
No, there's a place in Texas. Everyone is mandatory, has to carry a gun all times. No crime.
Nice.
Can't be a crime. Everyone gets shot.
Because if you pull a gun on this guy, some guy across the road will shoot you. And if he shoots someone will shoot him. Like
that's social contracting. It's base.
Yeah.
You can't do anything bad.
Because anybody has the power to, like, it's like a big large guy comes in, he can knock over a woman and beat her up and rape her or whatever. If everybody has a gun, that's out the window. Unless you've got like a bigger gun, which even then, you can still shoot a guy with an AK-47 if you've got a 9mm pistol.
Yeah, that's it.
You know? So social contracting can become very, very, very apparent.
I mean, obviously that has its own downsides.
Oh, yeah, but of course. Then again, so does any social contract, dude.
Yeah, well, that's it.
Yeah, because, again, this just goes back to these guys, the outlying farmers. They appear, maybe it appears that they just have a pistol. Maybe they've got Kevlar under their jacket.
Yeah.
You know? maybe they can get a couple of extra shots off and take a couple of shots, get in the car and drive off.
Mm.
You know, maybe they can
But
find a way
I
to
think
get away
that
with
I think that comes around to basically someone not understanding the person they're contracting with. I mean,
But then again,
let's go back to my saloon example, for example.
yeah, okay.
Now, if we're both in the circle, okay, we both have guns. We sit down in the saloon, have a beer, and we each understand that if someone was to pull a gun, one of us is going to die, and neither of us want that. Now, if you're a total psychopath that's outside the circle, outside societal norms, you'll be like, okay, hey, guy, let's go around and have a beer, finish your beer, just get up and shoot you in the face for no reason.
Yeah, he doesn't care about dying.
Well, that's really that's the kind of person you can't contract with.
Yeah.
There's nothing more dangerous than someone who has nothing to lose, because they may choose to contract with you, but you can't contract with someone like that because they are not amicable to being threatened.
Mm.
You can't threaten them with something they can lose. They've got nothing to lose.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, reavers are very difficult to contract with.
Mm.
They do contract, though, I believe. I reckon.
Well, it's a more primal. I mean, when you think about it, it's. I mean, even like
primitive.
It's more primal form of contracting. It's very much the back to the original kind of, not the okay, I've got to pay taxes, I've got to avoid the cops, I've got to go to university to get a good thing so I can get a house, I can pay off my mortgage, and I can live a decent life. This is, well, I'm kind of getting low on money, so I think I'm going to rob a bank.
Hmm. Yeah, I like using like the drug.
Oh, the cops are chasing me. Well, I'm just going to shoot them because whatever.
What of it?
The only kind of contracting you can do that for someone is a concept of strength. You know what I mean? If you are stronger than them, and you can prove your strength, they will respect that strength, and then it's the same thing. You both aren't going to pull a gun because you're both going to get killed.
Think of
But you
criminal
can't deal with
organizations.
psychopaths like that because they lack that empathizing and lack that impulse control.
Yeah. Think of criminal organizations. Think of like a drug trafficking, slave trafficking island in the middle of nowhere, and just everybody is a reaver. Somewhere at the top, you're gonna have like a super reaver, where all the other reavers are like, oh yeah, you know, we can machete off a couple of natives and do a bunch of drugs, but if that big ass reaver comes down, we better freaking watch our asses, because
that's it. I mean,
he's contracted with us.
I might like put guys in boxes and light them on fire for no reason 3 days of the week. But when this guy comes around, I know he's going to do 10 times worse than me. So I better be good, because this guy is stronger than me, either on a fear or strength-based level.
Yeah. He
can hurt you more than you can hurt him. So therefore, you choose to be subservient to that strength.
And it's very straightforward in this sort of sense. It's really hard to pretend to. Like, you remember the farmers, how they pretend to give all the half of their stuff, but they don't?
Yeah.
It's really hard, like, for reavers and super reavers, it's really hard to pretend. You just fucking do it.
Oh, honestly, I think that kind of thing, they'll get away with what they can get away with.
Yeah, but it's a lot more...
They understand on a level, like, poor impulse control aside, if they mess up with a person like this, they're going to get... There's no second chances.
And
that contract is over, and they're going to die.
And then let's be honest, the string's really taut. That contract could be over for no reason at all.
Yeah.
It could be just like, I feel like shooting somebody. I'm going to pick that guy.
Well, I'm switching shop to a new thing. I need to tie up some loose ends. You have the potential as a loose end to harm me, so I'm going to end you.
It might not even be that. You know,
depends on psychotic.
Yeah, well, if you find someone really psychotic, it could be just a matter of, I feel like it. And that's when you know it's really dangerous.
Okay. Well, let's switch on to the... because ultimately this circle is your standard sort of social norms. You know, you wake up, you go to work, kids go to school. You just basically do your regular 9 to 5 kind of things. You know,
you're inside your circle.
You're inside the circle. You know, you pay your taxes. You don't get caught for things illegal. You don't do anything illegal, and you pretty much just do your regular sort of thing. Everyone works with them.
Yeah. Let's move on.
Yeah, you get that. But I mean, society is based upon those norms. I mean, think about, okay, everyone is in a car driving to work in the morning.
Yep.
Now, they're in about 2 tons of moving steel. Now, the only thing preventing someone from ramming another person is their desire not to do so. The only thing preventing you from hitting another lane or going over the wrong side of the road is 2 pieces of white paint.
That you just decide, I'm going to follow this.
Yeah, I'm going to follow the societal norm here.
I'm
I mean,
gonna
you
follow
could just
the
decide at
pattern.
a spin of your wheel with no effort at all to go on the other side of the lane and don't care.
Yeah, I think you were talking about this one a little bit earlier.
I mean, society is based upon the
The circle.
the
It really is.
your unconscious and sane observance of societal norms.
But the second you don't do that anymore, you become that outlying farmer.
Yeah, you're a threat. You're a threat to the existing society.
And then it becomes, how well am I at masquerading the role?
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, power in any aspect is only derived from people accepting that you have that power.
Oh yeah, power lies where people believe power lies. You know, you could be a big, powerful dude, and you could have a lot of money, you could have a lot of influence, but if the group of people that you're trying to influence don't believe it, why the fuck would anybody listen to you? Simple. Yeah.
I mean, I think about like some sort of crazed dictator. I mean, at any point, someone could just go, "Yeah, I'm just going to go up to him and kill him with a rock."
Yeah, I could beat his head in with a shovel if I wanted.
But
no reason.
you don't do that because you know that he's going to harm you, he's going to harm your children, and other people that are also afraid of getting on this guy's bad side will stop you from killing the guy, even though it may be in their best interest.
Yeah, some guy is keeping inside the circle. Some guy may have already contracted with this dude, so he'll stop you from killing him because he's got a good contract going.
That's it. I mean, there are
if someone tried to kill you, Scott, I would stop them, probably, maybe, because you offer me services in the form of your good company, and I like you enough. But when you think about that in a social contracting view, I like you because you provide me good feelings of happiness during your company. Therefore, I will continue contracting with you
and provide good feelings in return.
In return for the upholding of these feelings. So it can be as simple as that. You can make social contracting about fucking emotions and shit, dude. It's not always about a physical exchange. Scott is exchanging positive emotions and energies towards me in return for the same. And when that stops, you can go off and beat my head in with a shovel, Scott.
Well, but the thing is, I wouldn't do that because then I've got existing social contracts everywhere else, such as the police, that I've got a contract with them that I don't break the law, and therefore I don't go to jail.
And so what you're trying to say to me is the only reason that you don't beat my head in with a shovel when I've stopped providing the social contract towards you is you don't want to serve 25 to life.
There you go. I don't wish to be... Yeah, I choose to give up some of my freedom, such as hitting you with a shovel. In return, I have freedom not to be in jail.
Would you agree that this is not a conscious thing? So it's like no. It's not the reason that I contract with you, Scott. It's because I genuinely like you. Do you believe
that's a reason as much as any?
Yeah, but do you believe that social contracting is layered so deep within the psyche that for a lot of the time people don't even realize people genuinely believe in their own social contracts?
That's it. People don't think of it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's very much okay, what can I gain, what can I lose situation all the time.
Like if you hang out with a guy who always makes you feel shit, what's your contract with him? The only contract you have with him is the exchanging contract you have with the police.
Maybe he's a moron and you feel superior, and that's your contract with him. You get to feel good about yourself, even though he's an idiot.
Or maybe you like exerting your will to power because it makes you feel good.
Yeah, maybe he's a chump and you're just better than him and you enjoy that feeling. Or maybe you want to get on the good side of his system. Maybe you want to earn some brownie points. Maybe you're working with the poor and you hate, working with the poor or the intellectually disabled, and you just don't like those people. But you do so for the street cred. Social cred, you know what I mean?
Or maybe you just like feeling like you're a moral person.
That's another one. That's a very big one.
I do it.
Yeah.
I genuinely go out of my way for people, even if I don't like them that much, because I like feeling that exertion of will. I like feeling that I'm doing a good thing.
Well, I mean, I like giving to charities that I like. Basically, there's a contract.
Hey, dude, I'm not that good.
No, it's just a few dollars, but I'll give them money, and in return, they will provide the service of expanding my agenda. I'm basically outsourcing my agenda onto them by giving them money.
Nice. Well, okay, so, these these reavers.
Yeah.
Is it possible for people inside the circle to adapt qualities to which these outlying farmers, or even possibly reavers, in order to reap the benefits of the circle, without actually leaving it that much.
Okay.
I mean, obviously you've got these outlying farmers,
I,
and they act like they're inside the circle, but then eventually you get these reavers who are just like completely insane, reaping a lot more out of it than pretend, because they don't need to pretend; they just do it, and then they
yeah.
get.
Well, there's no contracting. There's no time wasting.
Yeah.
There's just
Yeah, exactly.
I'm not gonna pretend and score away 20%. I'm gonna take 100% of what you got
Yeah, and
and
there's
kill you
nothing
so
you
you're
can
no
do
longer a
about it.
threat.
Yeah. So is there any way that we can adapt these qualities to raise ourselves up in a way without really becoming reavers?
Okay, so are you basically saying, is there a way to?
Be a reaver without being a reaver.
Okay, so we want to adapt sociopathic, psychotic tendencies without becoming
Becoming
a.
so psychotic.
Oh, I think. I
Can
don't
you
know.
can you wear the mask, do you think?
Everyone does.
Yeah, but can you wear that mask? I'm thinking probably not, to be honest, because I think
I think it's all in degrees. I think to a degree, but your own internal
you know what I'm starting to think?
worldview and values and such. I mean, you won't be able to be like commit psychopathic behavior in the form of manipulating, using behavior. Like you wouldn't just be with a girl just for the purpose of you putting crap on her and you using her to get her money and to do all this sort of stuff and to make her subservient to you in all sorts of ugly sort of situations because you have the ability to understand empathy and sympathy,
Would you agree
unlike people that have that sort of behavior.
Well, yeah, but I was thinking like maybe would you agree, disagree? I don't know. I want to get your opinion. Just a thought that occurred to me. Reavers are people who social contracting has been lifted off them completely. So if you start adapting these qualities, you're not turning into a reaver. You're turning away from the circle. So
Okay.
it's sort of like it's who we are at a deep base, primal blood and tooth
I
and
think the
claw.
best place to be at is at the fringe of the circle. You understand the benefits of the circle, but understand that a lot of the time the current situation and societal norms is there for you to be a good farmer and to pay your taxes and to go to uni so someone can give you 50 grand to make 200 grand off your labor.
Hmm. So the closer you become, so are you trying to say those outlying farmers is the good place to be?
I think I think the best situation is to be aware of all the valuation of the
So it's not so
contracts you
much.
enter
So
into.
it's not so much leaving the circle as much as it's staying within, but becoming aware of what's beyond it.
I think the best way is to increase your personal power. I do need a drink. One second.
Okay. Yeah. So obviously from a personal benefit point of view, Reaver's excessive. Outlying farmer. Uh, obviously that's where you want to be to reap the benefits. But what about those things like morality and personal moral and personal view and things like that? Like I myself am very morally driven because we do a lot of philosophy, Scott.
Yeah, I
And
mean, you
that's
have to be
important to
aware
me.
of basically the moral, amoral qualities of the actions you do. I mean, the more you think about it, the more you have to be aware of this situation harms this person, or even doing someone a harm, like kicking them out of bed in the morning just so they can get to where they need to really be, is a harm for a greater good. But I think the best way to do it is just to improve your own sense of power and understand your the contracts in which you're entering. I mean, don't blindly enter into social contracts. Understand and increase your power and your ability to convince and to get the best deal possible in all situations for your social contract.
Yeah, but 9 times out of 10, all these social contracts are subconscious. You make friends every day, but what you're
Yeah,
really making is a new social contract.
yeah, absolutely. That it comes part and parcel. I mean, this is just human social behavior since forever. I mean, you put a bunch of people in a room that have never met each other, give them 10 minutes, and they'll have decided who the leader is.
Oh, you're done. And you won't even need to appoint it a lot of the
Yeah.
time. Usually, it's some person has a certain quality or trait, They just act.
I mean, to
And
take
it's like,
take a
well,
company for example, and you've got a boss or something who's just a loser, who just sucks at what he does. Now, the only reason you'll follow his decisions is because you wish to keep the contract that I get paid at this company for. But you won't respect him. You won't commit. You won't treat him as a leader. You'll treat him as an obstacle that has to be endured.
yeah, that's it. Yeah. Now imagine a Reaver in an office environment, Scott.
He couldn't be in an office environment.
He couldn't really. What's the closest thing to it? It'd be some loon who's just like,
No, the closest thing I reckon would be um, military industrial complex, private armies, private contractors,
oh, well, yeah, of
mercenaries.
course.
There you go. Okay, you're contracting me with money for a service for a particular amount of time that I will do the things that I have agreed to do for you, and then when that time is up, my loyalty is up for sale again.
Yeah. But even then, I wouldn't refer to them as a Reaver because they've got their own social circles.
That is exactly right. It's very hard in this day and age to find someone who truly will not contract with anyone, because usually someone will have shot them.
Yeah. A lot of Reavers have already been killed, or
That's it.
hung, or in prison.
That's it.
Because they're outside the circle.
That's it, because they just got gunned down by police, or they're in jail for committing heinous acts because they have no ability to appear that they are within the circle.
Yeah.
Now, often the most successful people are the 3% of people that are psychopaths.
Sociopaths.
Or was it sociopath? Or was
Yeah,
it
well, sociopaths are people like you and I who have, that sort of
Oh,
socially psychotic trait. Psychopaths.
No, we're not
are
even
people.
sociopaths.
You sure?
Yeah, we're not sociopaths. We have the ability to.
Well, not specifically you and I, but I'm like just regular, normal
No,
people.
the psychopaths apparently is 3%.
Oh, really?
3% of the population. A lot of them are doctors. A lot of them are lawyers. A lot of them are politicians.
I thought it was sociopath.
I believe it's
Interesting.
We can look it up, but
Yeah.
I believe it is psychopaths.
All right.
And often those particular traits, such as arrogance, lack of empathy,
Yeah,
behavior, is actually
yeah.
quite beneficial in their field. Now, if you're a doctor and you're an absolute brain surgeon, you're arrogant. You don't second guess your decisions. You don't feel empathy for these particular people. They're just a patient, and you can switch it out so you don't get remorse when your patients die.
Yeah. And sometimes we'll be like, well, I have to make a split second decision. You're not like, ooh, is this decision going to kill him? Oh, fuck. You just wasted 5 seconds.
Yeah.
Maybe it's just like, I'm
I
going to do this.
I know what I need to do. This is the best decision.
Yeah,
But
fuck it.
But his wishes, no, this is the best decision. He's going to live because I want him to live.
Yeah, he's going to live because
of
I'm going
me.
to do it. Yeah, done. And if he dies, well, stuff it. But that quick decision making and action,
A
self-confidence,
lot of
steady
psychopaths are
hands.
also police officers.
Yeah?
Think about it. This is a position.
Exertion of power, hey.
That's it. This is a position where you get a gun and you get to hunt people down that the society has said you can. A lot of cops love hunting.
What about
people.
military?
Same thing.
Yeah.
Same thing.
I mean, you go.
Probably less than cops, in all honesty.
Yeah, but it's probably harder for them to get in,
Yeah. But I mean, obviously, with these particular traits, you're managing to mask them somewhat. I mean, often the people that benefit most, as we were saying before, are people that appear to be upholding their end of the bargain and being nice and being tender and being reasonable and being honest without being any of those things.
Yeah, well, Reavers can't or don't or won't. I think won't is a better
but
word.
Psychopaths aren't even necessarily Reavers. I mean, Reavers are people that can't be contracted with.
So Reavers are psychos.
Yeah.
Deranged loons that run around with shotguns shooting birds.
Yeah.
They're out there, dude. But they can't pretend because they just won't, because they don't care. It's not something in their mind. And I think they only exist in death these days or on deserted islands somewhere where we don't actually get involved with them that much.
Well, I mean, the people that are like psychos 100% of the time, all the time.
Here's a good one. What about the Texas Chainsaw Massacre? That guy was a Reaver,
Yeah, absolutely.
But he was hidden away, not by him. He would go out and chain people up into little pieces and stuff. He'd take their faces off and wear them and stuff. That is a Reaver. He cannot hide inside the circle. But all these outlying farmers who have socially contracted with the Reaver because the Reaver has a social disposition where he can only be aggressive at certain times, they manage to hide him so that they can exploit his Reavious traits.
That's it. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's still so the reaver's still socially contracting.
Yeah.
I mean, he's actually losing in this social contract because he's being exploited.
He's losing, and he's winning. He's losing because, he's being exploited. He's winning because he's being exploited for the cost of not getting them all caught.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a mutually beneficial arrangement, assuming he's actually doing what he wants to do.
Well, yeah, and for the most part, let's say that he is, because remember, he's a reaver, and if he didn't want it anymore, he'd probably just chainsaw everybody else.
Yeah,
But then again, you got to remember he did have that social like he was like really awkward and stuff. Remember, but once that flick switched, he went crazy. You know, he would chainsaw people off and tear their faces off, and like he didn't have any problem with it. He didn't think twice. His heart rate wouldn't accelerate or whatever. You know, he just did it.
Yeah.
But these people that would exploit him. So like, okay, we need a social contract with him through to the circle to make him look like he's not a reaver, to make him look like he's one of us, you know?
Yeah.
So we'll hide him away and stuff like that because he can't hide himself.
Hmm.
So we're going to force him to be hidden. Almost.
Yeah. I suppose the other thing we can really take away from this, guys, is, I mean, human interaction is give and take. It's always give and take. I mean,
and when it's not give and take, there's no contract there.
Mm.
And when there's no contract there, you know, nothing happens. There's no back and forth. Yeah. So when there is no give and take, there's nothing.
Mm.
You know, there's no half, there's no take, there's no give. It's give and take or nothing at all. And unless, of course, you get to those situations where it's like, I'm going to make it appear that I'm giving.
That's it. I mean, it's give and take, or both on some level agree both not to take.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Because if you take,
we both lose.
Then I'm going to take from you, and then you're not going to like that.
Yeah, so we both lose. We both shot in the stomach and feeling bad about it.
Yeah, pretty much. So, I don't know. Anything else you want to add, Scott?
Well, I think we've rambled a bit with this one, but I mean, there's not.
I know you mentioned politicians before.
Yeah. Well, I mean, politicians is another example of social contracts. I mean, they socially contract with the people to convince them to get the votes. They also socially contract with people that can assist them on their path to political power. And they also socially contract with interest groups such as corporations that give them money to fund their campaign and get in front of you to convince you to get their vote. Now, at the end of the day, who do you think they're more beholden to? You, as a person, as like a society of people that forget about the promises 4 years later, or the people that got them and where they got to be?
The people with the money behind them who want exchange for the promises that you made.
That's it. People do not give money, influence, and power without expecting something in return. If they do, then it's a charitable thing, and the power that they receive is a glorification of their own power.
Would you?
Doesn't mean we're not nice and reasonable and decent, but
there
is that aspect always.
In our last video, I'm sure it was our last video, you mentioned that documentary where it speaks about corporations.
It's called The Corporation.
I think we spoke. Did we speak about it?
Maybe, I'm not sure.
Oh, I'll do it again.
It's a documentary called The Corporation, and it basically gives a corporation as a whole a psych profile. And it turns out that a corporation displays all the standard psychotic traits.
Like 100% of them.
100%.
We're not talking
it's like the purest psychopath.
Yeah, like a reaver, almost.
Well,
getting close to it. It's
not a reaver. I mean, obviously, it's still contracting with society, but all its contracts are exploiting.
Oh, yeah. Or like on a very, very high outlying scale, you know? So.
But yeah, it's called The Corporation. It's a very interesting doco.
Yeah, well, virtually, a psychiatrist analyzes, you write down all the traits that a company has, and a psychiatrist gives his evaluation, and then he's like, what person was this? It wasn't a person. We just did a standard corporation here. And he's like, oh, shit. You know?
Yeah, but it covers some like Monsanto and a whole bunch of American corporations, which have done some really nasty things. And
Coca-Cola.
Yeah?
Those are slave workers, dude, you know?
Oh,
all this shit's done by slaves. You know?
What about Hugo Boss? Hugo Boss is great. Got done by the human rights violations from having slave workers help his textile factory. I mean, Hugo Boss designed the SS uniform. Why do you think they look so evil and badass? Freaking Hugo Boss has got an excellent eye for design.
Oh, I think that's it, dude. I don't
Yeah.
think there's any more we can add to this.
Not really, guys. I mean, social contracting. Hopefully, this has given you a bit of a better idea, and pretty much it's riffing on the same thing. Just be aware of the dealings that you get into. Try to improve your ability to convince, convey, and understand the kind of dealings you have with your fellow man, and be nice, reasonable people. That's all you can do.
Before we put an end to this video, I was just thinking of how interesting it was how some philosophers overlap quite well, and some philosophers really don't, to be honest.
Okay.
Like Thomas Hobbes and Friedrich Nietzsche, for example. You're very proficient in Friedrich Nietzsche.
I just like reading him.
Yeah, well, you've read a lot more of him than I certainly have. And, like, I read Beyond Good and Evil, but I haven't read that big one. What's it called?
There's a bunch. There's Twilight of Gods, The Antichrist, The Spoke Zarathustra.
Yeah, that one. That's the one.
That's a hard book to read when you're young.
Yeah. Oh. But Beyond Good and Evil, gave that a good read. Little 200-page book, sped through it. Really freaking difficult to read. But a lot of his ideas overlap with Thomas Hobbes, as we saw this evening. Social contracting.
Well, he's later than Thomas Hobbes, anyway.
Well, yeah, very much so. Well, Friedrich Nietzsche was one of the very, very latest after Whittaker?
Wittgenstein.
Wittigen.
It's like Wittgenstein or something?
Wittigen, yeah, he was German as well, wasn't he?
Yeah, he's in that German sort of period. I mean, Nietzsche...
1860?
I think his last one was like 1878, 1880.
Yeah.
And I mean, and Sigmund Freud and Jung and all the psychology took off his ideas as well.
Yeah. And mind you, a lot of the later on stuff that released through we spoke about this earlier, how his sister flogged off a lot of his stuff.
Yeah. Well, it was a lot of the Nazi ideology was perverted to be that. Instead of the will to power to be the Übermensch, the overman that basically overcame his own humanity to be something greater and more powerful.
But they destroyed the idea and turned it into
something instead of it was
sick.
just pure blood Aryan race that must be superior and everyone else is a dog, basically.
And you'll notice that they were subliming the wrong emotions.
Yeah,
they were supposed to be creating.
Yeah,
sublimating. Sublimating.
Yeah. Well, we've discussed this before, but it's pretty much like Darth Vader is not a good example. Vader should paint as well.
Darth Vader should have painted and created artworks and stone sculpture.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, he could be a total badass, but no need for it.
All right, I'm done.
So am I. I think we're just talking in circles now, guys. So hopefully you've got a benefit from this one. It's a interesting thing once you're aware of it. Very much so.
Yeah.
Because most of this is just so obvious and so common behavior contracting with each other that we don't even notice it.
Yeah. It was very difficult for me to come up with the social contracting idea between you and I, but it was there.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't be surprised if it was even deeper than that. So think about it for a little bit. But, don't let it destroy your life.
Well, that's it. I mean, even if you're contracting with someone, doesn't mean you don't like them, and it's not a genuine thing. I mean, even your genuineness in enjoying their company is a contract. You both enjoy your company, so you both agree to enjoy each other's company.
Yeah, and not be dicks to each other.
That's it. You agree to not, to be good people and decide to limit your power in being dicks to each other. There you go.
Done.
Done, guys.
Catch you later.